Rick's Place 2021. Latonia Monroe Naylor is a longtime friend of Rick's Place who serves on the Springfield School Committee and is the director of AmeriCorps at Springfield College.
I can remember it like it was yesterday, the first time that I met Diane at Rick's Place. I was sitting in a convention hall and she was sharing the story about why Rick's Place started. And I can remember feeling this deep sentiment in my heart, in my mind, and I had to go meet her and talk more about what it was that they did. So from that standpoint, we developed this beautiful relationship. I was working at a local funding organization and started to think creatively with them about ways that we can get them funding and volunteers. And even in my current role at the Springfield College AmeriCorps program, we've brought them in for training and all kinds of supports because we felt it was necessary to make sure that our members had the information and the knowledge on how to support our children the same way that Rick's Place does. I think about all of the relationships that I've been able to help to connect with Rick's Place, the benefit that our schools have seen by having Rick's Place present. And I tell you now, what we definitely need is more of Rick's Place and not less. So I hope that you will be intrigued enough to learn more, to dive into the story, into the history, not only about why Rick's Place was started, but why it's continued to be such a phenomenal organization and why it's continued to help so many of our children and so many of our families throughout the region. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm Latonia Monroe Naylor, and I support Rick's Place.
Rick Thorpe was a Wilbraham native who died in the second tower on 9/11. Rick was well known for his charitable work, so his family and friends created Rick's Place as a lasting legacy to his generous nature. Our free grief support groups provide safe and respectful experiences for children and their families to begin to integrate their losses in healthy and meaningful ways, and to feel less alone on their grief journey. Grief is a natural response to death. Children and families typically feel they are the only ones going through the experience. We see their relief when they participate in a Rick's Place grief group. There are other families like theirs. While loss is common, each grief journey is unique, and a child's grief does not look like an adult's. These numbers are the most current from research by the folks at Judy's House in Denver, where they track the impact of loss nationwide. They are currently looking into the extent to which COVID-19 is changing these numbers, because we know that there is a grief crisis happening nationwide. This is another important statistic that we give attention to. Data from a recent local news story says that there are between 5 and 10 overdoses in Springfield each day. And there have been over 81,000 overdose deaths nationwide in the last 12 months alone. We know, too, that unexamined grief often leads to poor school performance, truancy, alcohol and drug abuse, and an increased risk of suicide. Research shows that kids benefit from naming their losses and talking about their experiences with peers and caring adults. The death of a parent is one of the most traumatic events that can occur during childhood. Kids in our grief groups share stories of needing to take care of younger siblings more frequently, needing to perform more household chores, and that their friends don't understand what their lives are like or how different their families are since a parent or sibling died. Kids of all ages tell us they feel isolated and as if no one understands their loss experience until they get into a Rick's Place grief group, where everyone gets it. Many of you local folks will likely have heard this grieving dad share his story. Steve offered to briefly speak to his experience at Rick's Place.
Hi, my name is Steve Nakel, and I am a current participant in the Rick's Place program. along with my two daughters, Felina, age 10, and my daughter Alessandra, who's age 9. We are there to remember their mother and my wife, Jennifer, who passed away in April of 2017 from cancer. And everything that Rick's Place has given us is all the tools you need to manage the grieving process. The activities that are done with the kids, my kids and I talk about them after each meeting, and all the wonderful things that they've done to remember that special person, and also the support group for the adults as well. That has been extremely helpful to me. It's also really helpful to talk to other people who have been in the same situation. And even though every method of death might be different, the themes are absolutely the same, and Rick's Place really helps everybody there, and including myself and my daughters, along in the grieving process.
2 Tuesday evenings a month, we hold groups for kids ages 5 to 18. And their caregivers support each other in their groups learning how to parent a grieving child. When COVID-19 shut down in-person gatherings in March, we quickly pivoted to offering virtual groups on the Zoom platform. Children and adults were anxious about managing their grief without peer support during a summer of isolation, and they asked us to continue programming for the summertime. Fortunately, we secured a grant from the Davis Foundation that made that possible. A mother and son briefly share about Rick's Place.
Hi, I'm Allison and this is Nathan, and we've been participating at Rick's Place for a little bit over a year. Rick's Place has been important for me because I'm able to connect with and receive support from parents who truly understand the unique challenges of parenting a grieving child. Nathan, what do you think about Rick's Place?
It's cool that I can get together with kids that have gone through the same thing as I have.
Thanks, bud. And that is why we love Rick's Place. Thanks for listening.
We provide grief support services to area schools, meeting weekly for 6 sessions, now on the virtual platform. We offer students opportunities to share their experiences of loss through activities and conversation. Here's a short testimonial clip speaking about our work in one local school.
Hi there, this is Linda Toussaint, an adjustment counselor at Springfield Public Day Elementary School in Springfield, Massachusetts. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the collaboration that our school had with Rick's Place and the grief support group that they provided to our students last school year. So our school is a public day alternative school model, which means we service 100% special education students within our district, which have a variety of needs, including maybe educational or social emotional or behavioral or cognitive or developmental. So we are servicing a really high need population coming from a variety of backgrounds and experiences that often these students don't have access to the supports that they truly would need. So the fact that Rick's Place was willing to come into our school and provide this service, this support service to our students, was really a wonderful experience for us. They started a group with some kiddos who have lost special people in their lives, and the readiness for these kiddos to express themselves in this group was really remarkable. It was almost as if the lid had finally popped off a very tightly shut container and the contents were overflowing, because unfortunately these kiddos probably never had a safe space to express their grief before. And the safe and supportive environment that Rick's Place provided for them really was beneficial, and it really just allowed them to kind of take it and run with it. The students look forward to meeting each week, both with Rick's Place staff and with other students. They were able to support them through their grief, and sometimes our students have a difficult time expressing their needs or expressing themselves, and Rick's Place staff were incredible in being able to meet them where they were at and maintain the safe space and provide the support that they needed, despite maybe their inability to appropriately express themselves. And these kiddos really thrived in this environment. They were able to show empathy for other group mates that maybe were not in their class, so students that they wouldn't have normally had a connection with. They really were able to access this this support. So it's a collaboration that we're hoping to continue, a support service that is so incredibly necessary, and unfortunately not all that accessible to the students who are often in need the most. So we hope to continue to work together. Thank you so much.
At Rick's Place, we recognize the important role that teachers and school counselors can play in supporting grieving students. This 93% is significant because students spend so much of their time with school personnel. So part of our important work is to provide professional development to administration and staff on the impact of grief on students. Our dedicated volunteers serve in a variety of roles, from the board of directors to hands-on group facilitators. We are always impressed by their commitment to our important work, and we couldn't do it without them. We feel fortunate to have volunteers from all walks of life.
I'm Kelly Haber. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at PV Financial Group in Ludlow. I met Diane and Therese about 3 years ago. They run the program and they're absolutely wonderful at what they do. We first had them in after hearing about Rick's Place from a client who sadly had lost her husband. She was going through the program with her 2 kids. A part of our mission at PV is to give back in any way that we can, whether that means financially or giving our time to support different events. It's a big part of who we are and what we do. Rick's Place fits in perfectly as the type of organization that we like to support. Rick's Place doesn't teach how to grieve because everyone grieves in a different way, but they give these individuals an outlet and a place to talk to peers who are going through something similar as they are. A lot of times these individuals don't have anyone in their lives who really can relate to what they're going through, and Rick's Place gives them a place to remember their loved ones, a place to talk about their feelings, and hopefully heal over time. They really are changing lives. I actually got to go through the volunteer training program a few years ago so I can help facilitate these support groups. So I've gotten to see firsthand these kids going through the program, and it's very rewarding to see how they grow over time. And once they get the opportunity to see their peers sharing stories, they eventually open up, and I do see that over time they really look forward to going to these meetings. I don't feel like there's a lot of places like Rick's Place, so we're very, very happy to be able to support them in any way that we can. Rick's Place right now is more important than ever, and they really do deserve all the good and the support that they receive.
This is the most recent census data. We're interested to see what the numbers will show from the 2020 census. We offer our free grief support programs to families from all communities in Western Massachusetts. Here's a quick view into our programming.